All right, everybody, it's that time again for the Political Pulpit. We're doing a real quick show today because today we have a ladies' conference anchored in his promises at Redeemer Apostolic Church. But first, before we get there, I wanted to uncover some things with Candace Owens. She's gone a little unhinged. I feel like she's a little obsessed with what she calls the truth, but in turn is causing a lot of chaos and disruption. There's a lot of truth that's come through, of course, which we'd like to get through some of that and make sure it is truth. But it's also this obsession, this anti-Israel conversation. And I kind of get it, but I'm a little bit concerned. One, for the evangelicals and many of us that believe want to support Israel, but also for herself and people that she's influencing. And and we're also going to get through some of the news and things that are very important, and let's get to it.
We pray for love and unity, and that the church would find new zeal and commitment to the mission and purpose of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart.
To be on the program once again with you guys on this late Friday afternoon. We want to give you some of the updates that are happening. Some really cool things happened today in our nation, something with the First Lady that I think is very important. And there has been peace talks with Israel and Hamas, and they're in the first phase, and we're all super blessed and excited for that. And we want to quickly uncover some things with Candace Owens that's just kind of been circulating the airwaves and causing a huge disruption. She's dropped some bombshells and says, hey, guess what? I'm going on a break. So you guys kind of work through that. What I think is she has some other, there's probably a break and some mourning that needs to happen for her friend, Charlie Kirk, who was recently passed. Actually, he was assassinated. And also, to kind of put together some more evidence to drop. There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of things that have gone out when it comes to what happened to Charlie. Was there a lone gunman? Was there a military operation? And I hate that they say this, but was Israel part of it, which I think is ridiculous. Yes, Charlie Kirk, according to Candace and some text messages, have gone out saying that he's going to change the narrative a little bit because he was frustrated with some Jewish donors, which, hey, that stuff happens apparently to Turning Point USA. Not all of their donors, or there's a small majority, a small percentage of their donors that were from the Jewish community, which that's fine too. But listen, I don't think Israel killed Charlie. I think it's a distraction too from what really is happening. There's an evil force out there where it's a spiritual battle, and I think Satan wanted to take him out because of his voice. They wanted to silence his voice, and there's a demented kid or group of people on the liberal side of things, we'll just say, that went ahead with it, found an opportunity, and took it. And listen, if something really went down and it's a big deal, then we'll cover it and we'll say, here it is. Here's what we found. But in the meantime, let's not forget that sometimes evil just happens in the worst way, and I think that's where we're at. Okay, so let's get through some of the news really quick. Today, something happened with the First Lady, Melania Trump. I want to make sure I'm pulling up the right information here. Let's do this and let's show President Donald Trump's letter that came. Well, obviously he does it through Truth Social. I'm going to show it really quick. Okay, there it is. It says some very strange things are happening in China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths and virtually anything else they can think of. Even if it's not manufactured in China, nobody has ever seen anything like this, but essentially it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. We've been contacted by other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility, which came out of nowhere. Our relationship with China over the past 6 months has been a very good one, thereby making this move on trade an even more surprising one. I've always felt that they have been lying in wait. And now, as usual, I have been proven right. There's no way that China should be allowed to hold the world captive. So he goes on to say, things that were routine are no longer routine at all. I have not spoken to President Xi because there was no reason to do so. This was a real surprise, not only to me, but to all leaders of the free world. I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at APEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate in that this was the day that after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental. Depending on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out, I will be forced as President of the United States of America to financially counter their move. For every element that they have been able to monopolize, we have too. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing. In the end, for the USA, one of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming to the United States of America. There are many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump, President of the United States. So yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, we talked to you guys about it getting worse before it gets better. I think, this is why we continue to pray and believe God for his provision, because we will be challenged as Americans, as people, citizens of this country, many different ways. I don't know if y'all noticed the gas prices actually went up recently, probably because the Ukrainian and Russia war. We don't even have a whole lot of updates on that, except it's still happening. We do get a big update on phase 1 of a peace deal with Hamas and Israel. And it's more like a ceasefire. It's not a complete, layout of what a peace deal looks like. Will the Palestinian people have the right to stay, to reestablish their residence there, to rebuild? What's really going to happen? What was in that deal? Do we have all the hostages back yet? That's still to come, and I believe it's going to happen, and I'm grateful for it happening. But man, I don't know that it's all going to just go away just like that. It's probably going to heat up. Just as one peace deal makes its way, now we got China acting up, and it's all going to hit the financial markets. Remember what we said the other day. I truly believe there's going to be a financial fight. They're going to hit our country, our markets in the worst way as they possibly can. So what do? We prepare. We don't stay fearful. We get prepared. We stay faithful because we've been through this before. I don't know how many of you remember the financial crash in 2007, 2008. That was the real estate crash. The mortgage fraud and, supposedly mortgage fraud kind of was the vehicle for that, but it was a lot bigger than that. And here we are, first year of the presidency of President Donald Trump. We got one more year, then it's another election cycle. I believe by the end of next year, well, let's just tighten it up a little bit. By the middle of next year, we're going to see bigger and greater fights in the financial markets. Right now, you look at the markets, they look healthy, they look strong. Jobs numbers are a little bit better, but it's not, come on, we're coming from the pandemic. And yeah, there has been a increase, but we're boots on the ground. We're with communities. We know that it's tough. Some people are really having a hard time with degrees. I know a lot of engineers for some reason that can't find jobs that are well paying or worth it for what they paid for their education. What is the point of that? What's the case? What is going on? I feel like it's something that's deep into our financial markets, the deep state, the globalists, the elitists that are controlling and pulling all the strings. They're really the ones that are making things difficult and are going to continue to fight this administration. R.J. Blair, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and God the things that are God. Very good. And Santiago Villegas says there's something off with Candace. Yeah, we're about to get into that. Something is truly off. And it's almost like this crazy obsession of, anti-Israel conversations. And there's some clips that I'm going to play. We're not going to be on very long today, but I want to get through some of those clips. Let me show you really quick. And I think it's deserved because it's good news. This is great. I love this story. First Lady Melania Trump, she was able to talk to Putin, I guess. Isn't that crazy? She was able to negotiate with a world leader in Russia, out of all people. and she is basically going to get children reunited with their families. This is great, you guys. This is huge. Let's play that clip.
Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith.
So I don't know if you guys know, but that's a really big deal for the First Lady of the United States to have an open channel to a world leader, Vladimir Putin of Russia. That's a huge deal. I think I'm going to scrub through just a little bit for the sake of time, where she talks about it being a successful negotiation, and she's reuniting families from that region. Take a look.
It's important to note the original verification report was jointly prepared by the Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights and Office of the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. As First Lady, this is an important initiative for me. It is built on shared purpose and lasting impact. My ongoing mission is twofold: to prioritize, to optimize a transparent, free-flow exchange of health-related information surrounding all children who have fell victim to this war, and to facilitate the regular reunification of children with their families until each individual returns home.
Okay, so there you go. That's pretty much the basis of it. Apparently, that deal is going to get done. I think, let me catch the end really quick.
Plans are already underway
There it is.
to reunify more children in the immediate future.
Okay, so y'all know that war is just a horrible thing, a horrible, the most innocent suffer as countries continue just to funnel money and funnel cash, and these war contractors and military contractors are, selling arms and selling weapons and taking territory. Innocent people lose their lives. Of course, husbands, fathers lose their lives. Young sons go out to the battlefield just for these causes that most of us don't really even understand. We just know that we're involved in some war. We're sending money to Ukraine, and Russia's not giving up territory or giving up from taking territory. You may believe one way or the other, but the truth of the matter is children suffer, families get separated. And I love this story because First Lady Melania Trump is doing God's work, uniting families, rescuing the innocent, rescuing children. And she's doing it by, man, can you believe that? She's doing that by negotiating with a world leader. Man, that's huge. I love that. That's great news. And, it's amazing. Okay, so this is what they're saying in, let's play this clip really quick on the news. They're going to give context on this.
Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for First Lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the Biden administration could not do a deal with our president and somehow has managed to do this backdoor deal with the First Lady of the United States.
You'd have to go back to Eleanor Roosevelt to find a First Lady who dealt with diplomacy and security issues like this. It's extraordinary. And I think there's a connection between what we just heard with Melania Trump and what's happened in Gaza. what this administration takes every conventional wisdom and breaks it over its knee. The conventional wisdom in the Middle East was you can't make peace unless you first make a Palestinian state. So Donald Trump comes along in 2020 and gets the Abraham Accords. The conventional wisdom in Gaza was first you have to have a ceasefire for a little while and you get some of the hostages back. He turns it around. No, we're going to get all the hostages back first, all at once. And then you're going to have a long ceasefire.
Yep.
And so this is the secret of the success of the administration in diplomacy is that they just don't accept the conventional wisdoms and they break them over their knees.
Yeah, and Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for a first lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the...
Excuse me, guys. Using diplomacy, this is the first time that we've seen a first lady do something like this since, the Roosevelt family. This is huge. And I love that Santiago Villegas is saying maybe she's an advocate because she is from Slovenia, very close to Belgium and other countries. This could be very true. Her heart probably goes out to that region, which this is great. This is great. So more peace. Come on, let's get some more peace. Now, in the last days, y'all know that the Bible says they'll cry peace, 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 but there will be no peace. So I'm thankful for these wins, but I'm also cautious. How many are out there just kind of like on your toes and in your prayer closets, just praying for America, praying for our country, praying for this world? We really need to just preach the gospel as much as we can, spread the good news as much as we can. If you're not going to church, find yourself a Bible-believing church. These churches are churches all over the nation, all over the world are filling up, but also we can't forget those that are being persecuted because, these nations, these world leaders, they're really at the end, in the end times, there's going to be a massive disruption. And I'm not saying that's right now, but we got to be watchful, be prayerful. Yes, I love peace. I love blessed are the peacemakers. And that's what we're seeing. We're on the first phase with Hamas and Israel, and we pray that continues. But I got some questions, and I don't know that I can have time to bring it up now. But, there's this whole idea of like leveling the place and putting resorts and stuff. And man, I tell you what, if there's certain resorts that go up in certain people's names, I don't know that I'm going to be too happy about that because a lot of people had to die. A lot of children there had to die. We won't get into all that. But let's take a break on that for the sake of time. Okay, so what's going on with Candace, guys? What do you guys think? Candace Owens is so obsessed with this whole thing and Charlie Kirk. And I get it. It's her friend. But they've been a little bit displaced for many reasons, probably because of the conversations of Israel. But you all saw that text that went out from Charlie's phone. It was a WhatsApp text, a group text. And he was talking about how he lost a donor that was $2 million a year, Jewish donor, and he felt like he was being bullied. And he didn't want to be bullied anymore, and he was going to step away. But some of the other things that I don't like about this conversation is the conspiracy theories where, the bullets came from behind and there was a lav mic that blew up or a camera was loaded or some guy in the front had a handheld thing, was able to shoot from his elbow. Finally, Candace, from veering from all of that, got truth and shows that he was shot from the front, which if you all have shot a high-powered or high-caliber weapon before, you know how much power is behind these things. Some things did stand out to me personally when it came to Charlie's or the testimonies of people that were there was Frank Turek. His very first testimony, Dr. Frank Turek, was the guy with the white hat and the white shirt that people said he was signaling. He makes this comment. He goes, I felt that the shot came from a lot closer than that far away. And that, to me, is kind of the testimony. Now, y'all have to remember, it's kind of like this concave or like this arena style setup. And so when that shot rings out, the echoing, it kind of messes with your hearing, you could probably clap in that little arena area and it would sound off, or you would hear the echo bounce off the buildings. I suspect that that's what happened. From where the shot came from the front, it bounced off and became, echoey and threw off everybody's, I guess, ability to understand where it came from. This is where Candace is currently talking about the medical report, some of the stuff she's kind of spot on, but man, some of the other things she's like really reaching, and then she gives you nuggets to keep coming back.
But this seemed a little bit too performative. Now, I can tell you the part that he is telling the truth about is that Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet without question. Okay, and this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to something real quick. Now she has proof from somebody. Somebody's giving her information, but we kind of knew that there's a lot of people that like expert snipers and ex-military veterans talking about that was an exit wound. If you saw it, it was horrific. However, there's a lot of pressure in the front. So if you pierce that area, like that young lady that was her neck was slashed in that area, she bled out really quick. Now, that because of the pressure, I think the whole, seemed, it's horrific. I don't even want to go over that. But I just recently, we were shooting some rounds a few months ago in a, vacant area or whatever. And the rounds that hit the ground, if you would notice the ground would kind of implode, or it was just like an explosion of some of these rounds that were a lesser caliber than a 30-06. So without being too graphic, a bullet entering a soft tissue area like that does cause a lot of damage. But a 30-06 or a 223, a caliber that big does not stop. I mean, it keeps going. Could have been a miracle? I guess so. I think it could have been. I mean, I believe in miracles. But I do believe it's a smaller weapon, to be honest with you. I couldn't prove it outside of just knowing that a bullet that powerful not only wouldn't stop, but would also cause a lot more damage than what it did. I mean, the entry wound itself would be massive, because of the energy that's behind these bullets. I mean, they're so powerful, so powerful. And then the sound and the timing of everything does seem off. Of course, we got like 4 camera views. How did a place of like 2,000 people not show more camera views? And were they able to like capture them all? Was there a group of people that was like, give me your files or give me your images or your video? I don't know, but let's keep
out
going.
there. And I'm telling you this 100%. Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit. And at least a fragment of the bullet was recovered from his neck. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it was recovered from. I have fact-checked this information from multiple sources now. I've actually been sitting on this for a little bit over a week.
Okay, she's been sitting over that for a week, but yet not too long ago, she had all kinds of theories going out, which is, super frustrating for us because I personally don't like listening to Candace because of her rhetoric on Israel. I don't support her views at all. And she's very critical of evangelicals and spirit-filled people. She's barely a Catholic. I think there's something seriously wrong with her. She needs prayer. Let's put it like this. Candace needs prayer because she's kind of lost her way in a sense that she's not biblically sound and moving towards a form of even a Catholicism that's not even a true Catholic. And the reason why I say that is because she said it. She says that she's still learning, but she's got a lot to say about a lot of people, which is not even very, anyways, let's take a look at this one.
Let's take a listen to that clip that has gone viral.
I was standing from probably the 3rd row in the bottom. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck, down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off. Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Okay, so she goes on to say, I think we all kind of concerned about
Certainly
that part.
Emotions were running high. He was just trying to speak and to say what he saw. And
so she's going to try to find that person. The person wanted to talk to her, did not want to talk to her, but ended up going on the news. So she's investigating that person. Like, I can appreciate some of those investigations, but, she's really going hard against like the FBI and people. She's saying the government's lying to us. I don't know. Maybe they are. But the part that I really don't like is the part where she's starting to talk about Israel and saying Israel's responsible. Now, do we blindly support Israel and the governments? Let's just call it governments, because governments all over are corrupt. That's actually a good question. I don't think that if you look at the biblical history, Israel wasn't always in good graces. As a matter of fact, a lot of leadership and kings were corrupt, just like our leadership here is corrupt in many different ways. That's not what we're supporting. We're supporting the prophetic forms of Israel. We're supporting biblical history and biblical responsibility and commitment and covenants. The covenant with Israel. That's what we're supporting. Okay, so this next part, let's take a look.
Left. It went to Page, Arizona, and it appeared that the ADS-B transponder turned off. Now, what Kash Patel told us is different from what Derek Maxfield told us. Derek Maxfield on Instagram clarified that the air traffic control center was in agreement with them that they could stop transponding. Kash Patel says that plane never stopped transponding. So I don't know what the truth is, and I'm not even pretending that we're ever going to get the truth. What I can tell you is that the investigation that we have been privately conducting has led to.
All right, so she's about to say that's led to more questions because there's inconsistencies with that plane that came around. I mean, who knows? I don't know if you knew a crime was happening, would you fly to the crime scene and so you can be seen and tracked? I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a reach. I'm not going to discredit her on that one either, because it is a good question, but I'm trying to point to the obsessions she has and it's almost like clickbait almost, is that she's trying to she has tons of viewers, and I'm sure she understands how to keep people's attention. And is it worth it? I mean, it's so fresh. Like, your friend just got murdered. Your husband, his widow is still grieving, and you're like just igniting all these things. And I don't know. I mean, most of every show these days is all about this. And a lot of it is, so there are some truths coming out, but then there's some crazy stuff that she's talking about. This is the one that I'm not too happy about. You guys take a look.
Land and turn it into a beach town. So let me say this. This is our never again. Okay. This is a Holocaust. A Holocaust just happened. A real Holocaust just happened. We will never forget this. You need to tell your children what happened in Gaza. You need to tell them exactly who did it, exactly whose families were involved in this. And when you hear in the future somebody tell you, like, we're going to Gaza Beach for a vacation, you need to look at them like they are the absolute vermin of our society, because they are. They are. Their children will be cursed, okay? If you go and you play in the sand where you know that your forefathers planned to mass murder children, you will be cursed. Every person who steps foot on that, every family that is set to inherit what they did, they will be cursed. Your children's children will be cursed. Gaza belongs to nobody but the Palestinians. So when you begin to move the Israelis in there, and when the Trump Hotel gets built on there, I caution the rest of the world to stay far away from that cursed land, because something is coming. You can't commit that much evil in broad daylight and not think it's going to come back to haunt you. Anyways, God bless. May he get his Nobel Peace Prize.
All right, so I'm going to leave you guys with that, because Candace, she's really gone in deep with that one, and there's two sides to that. We don't have a whole lot of time to break it down, but here's the point. I think it's obvious she's going guns blazing because of the atrocities that's happened. The Gaza Strip is just a mess now, right? And I do think it does feel weird that they would level and displace so many people, innocent people, because of Hamas, instead of eradicating Hamas and bringing some sort of safer ground for everybody and allowing families to stay. That's what really should happen. I think, for me, allow them to rebuild, allow them to coexist somehow. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe we need to get into a more deeper biblical study, or just a historical study in that region. But the point is she's saying, if you allow to your families, your people, your kids to build or to go vacation there, you will be cursed. Man, that's a bomb. I don't know, man. I don't understand it. I don't know where she's going with all of this, except I think somehow we got to get the truth. Yes, there's war is nasty, but we can't forget Hamas is really the reason, for all of this. If they cared about their people, they wouldn't build tunnels under their schools, under their hospitals. They wouldn't have been able to go and kill, do the October 7th raid that they did. And remember, they went after police forces and checkpoints first so that they could spend time killing innocent citizens, taking hostages, and for 2 years torturing them and hiding through these tunnels. And as knowing that bombs would be dropped in that area, killing their own people, stopping aid, stopping help coming from from Israel and the U.S., and then shooting people that were coming through and then blaming it on Israel. So there's a lot of crazy, crazy things that are happening. And we have to also, Angel Frail, thank you. We have to know who created Hamas and why also. There are other nations involved. So thank you for saying that. There are other nations involved. But this is why I think the divide is going to get greater and greater and greater. And we must be careful with this stuff, you guys, because you got people like Candace who are going hard on this. She's totally just given up on the administration. She's totally gone against all of us, all of everybody on the right. She's, going completely against Israel. She has no support for Israel. And yet she calls herself a Catholic. There's so much to get into there. So here's the point. I want to continue to say and have these conversations with you guys. Thank you for jumping on the comments. I appreciate it. But at the same time, we have to pray for the peace of Israel, the peace of America and our allies, because I don't think the enemy's done. He's going to continue to cause a divide. He's going to continue to break our conversations and make us talk against each other, especially since media is so fast. Someone like me or you can get on a camera and get on a microphone and just speak whatever we want now and cause major and massive divides. We need to understand what is it that God wants us to do as Christians, to continue to pray and pray for Israel and we should speak up against the atrocities that governments do if there's corruption. If we see somebody that does something wrong in America, we speak against it. If we see somebody that does something wrong in places like Israel, Ukraine, Russia, China, we speak against it because we speak for truth. But I'm going to leave you guys with that. I know that was kind of a sour note, though, because she's always saying that everybody's going to be cursed for supporting it. But we know that we are not a cursed people. We are a blessed people, and we thank you all for joining us. Remember to follow us at politicalpulpit.com/partner. We appreciate your guys' love and support. Make sure that you visit us there. And if you would be so willing to help us continue on our fight and our program, we're so grateful for all that you all do. And thank you guys once again for this beautiful opportunity to be there and be where you guys are. And we'll see you sometime this weekend. We got a women's conference to go to at Redeemer Apostolic Church. It's called Anchored in His Promises. If we don't see you there, we'll see you soon at another time. Thank you, and God bless.